pretty clear. But I mean, how would you, like, if you laid out a story like, okay, Jim Rickards, he was CIA agent, I mean, how did you, what else you're gonna have to add in there so they believe you?
Like Zach was in a hedge fund. He's a hedge fund manager.
So I mean, that's where he gets like
Like,
ultra
I was a
specificity
hedge
can
fund
be
manager.
useful.
Okay.
You know, like you wouldn't just say I'm in the CIA as an offhanded statement.
Right.
You would want to build that into part of a bigger argument and kind of add another facets to that. Like, what did he do with the CIA?
Right.
So yeah, you could say like I'm a former hedge fund manager. That's pretty powerful in our business. The more you can tie it to the big idea, so therefore, I'm a former hedge fund. This is where you're like layering proof, right? So therefore, I know the secret works. I did it. One of my clients made this amount of money. I'm showing it to you now. See, so these things aren't all abstract. You want to kind of layer them, and it's got to be part of the larger argument of your big idea.
Right, okay.
So, saying like Zach, who's a former hedge fund manager, could you say like I'm a former hedge fund manager managing $1.6 billion, and I worked for this fund between like 2003 all the way through the crash to like 2014. So having that specificity.
Yeah, as long as it's emotionally compelling, you don't want to have like pages and pages of it where people are like, ugh.
Right. Okay.
Don't they usually bring that up when why am I doing this?
Yeah, typically you see that there. Yeah.
I got tired of.
But you can see like in America that Port Stansbury right away is leading with credibility. It's slowly like the second line is the company he founded and stuff. So there's different places you can use it. The second thing you want to prove is that whoever's talking to them feels their pain. To quote Bill Clinton, they're empathetic to the prospect's pain. They share their values. They have the prospect's interest in mind. They really care about the prospect getting the outcome that the prospect wants. People forget that, and that's to Robert's point about why am I doing this? It's a good place to, you need to prove that, right? Like, and it shouldn't be because I want to take your money right now.
The best transition line into that is something like, I wasn't always the person you see here today. So, you look at Jim Rickards, just to use this. Hey, Jim Rickards is this currency insider, he's been part of the government with the Pentagon Games, but I wasn't always the man you see here today. And then you cover Jim's upbringing. So if you guys don't know Jim, Jim's family literally went bankrupt because his dad didn't see something coming with the macro oil environment. His dad, I think, owned a gas station or something like that, and didn't see that oil prices were about to drop. And his dad went bankrupt on the gas station because he didn't see macro events coming. And that shaped Jim from a very early age of why he ended up wanting to help people that were mom and pops not get run over by macro events that they didn't see coming. So that's the best line into that kind of idea, is I wasn't always the person you see here today. And then with Jim Rickards, see, when I was 13 years old, my family went bankrupt because my dad, who owned a gas station, didn't see that oil prices were about to drop significantly. And because he didn't prepare for this macro environment, my family actually went bankrupt. So therefore, you get them right that they're going to feel the same pain that the reader is feeling. And then you transition into Jim's later half of his life where he becomes a lawyer and he becomes an economist and he works with the United States government, and now he's here warning everyday Americans about these macroeconomic events. Behind everybody, there's almost a story like that. I don't think we have an editor or a guru who was born with a silver spoon in their mouth, proverbial silver spoon. So almost everybody's got a story, right? Zach's got 7 kids, if you look at Zach. So he had twins, I think, in 2008 when the financial markets were collapsing, and that's when he quit his job as a hedge fund manager because he wanted time to actually spend with his family. So he feels the same pain that the reader does, right? That he's got a lot of kids, he's got a lot of burden, he's got a lot of stress, and he wants to provide for those 7 kids. So it's the same type of pain that the reader is feeling. So behind every guru, there's going to be a story to fill in that blank. I wasn't always the person you see here today.
So to tie it back to our session a week ago, how does Joe know all that? How do we know all those stories about our editors? Because we asked them, right? And there's probably other stories that people that they don't even know, that we don't even know yet, that these editors have as part of their lives, that in order to find them out, you need to like drill them like an investigative reporter or like a sales detective and get it out of them. Because even Jim Rickards, like, you'll read stuff and copy and be like, and I've talked to the guy a lot because I wrote a couple promotions for him, and I'll be like, whoa, is that true? Like, I didn't even know that about him. Like, that guy's like an iceberg, you know? It's like a whole bunch more under the surface even. And the only way you're going to get that, again, is through research and being a sales detective and not just relying on past copy to get the information you need or the editorial.
Best thing that you guys could do there too is that when the gurus come into town, just take them out for drinks.
Yeah.
You can expense it. That's the best part. So you get number one, free beer, and number two, the ability just to interview the gurus for hours. What'd you say? Yeah.
So
It's dangerous, I know.
So hopefully another benefit of this particular session, though, is it's giving you clues of like what you need to ask them for when you actually spend time with them, right? You want to be filling in these blanks and maybe have some questions written out in advance for the proof that you want, or at least the bucket of the kind of proof you want from him. So it helps to have a plan and not just, because you know, you could talk about sports or mutual interests that whole lunch and not get anything out of it. You want to go in there with a plan when you're on the phone with them, or you know you're going to meet them even like afterwards for drinks or something to figure out what you want to pull out of them that you need. Okay, so another thing you want to prove, that whoever's talking to them has a secret no one else has, but will inevitably give them their desires. The key word there is inevitably. So that's what you want them to feel, that whatever you're giving them, the impact system, the 73-cent cryptocurrency, the outcomes that you're promising are inevitable. It's going to happen. The dollar is going to cease to be reserve currency of the world, and these terrible things are going to happen. Another thing you want to prove is that both brilliant, high-performing people and regular people have used this person's secrets to successfully transform their lives. It's a weird thing in this business because we talk about secrets, then we'll back it up and say, like, oh, this technique's used at Goldman Sachs. It's like, how big or look at Reuters mentioned it in an article the other day. So it's a weird kind of thing. It's, again, not really logical that these secrets are being used by other people. That's social proof. And these people are not both regular people, which is the prospect, who they're going to identify with, but also other smart people.
Is there a way to prove that other than saying, like, I beta tested this with a group of friends, something like that?
Yeah, there's lots of different ways. We'll get into them in a few minutes when we go through a list I kind of put together, but social proof is probably one of the most important forms of proof we have, and it doesn't have to be testimonials. Improving a track record, to your point, doesn't have to be back-tested stuff. It can be real things that happened, either to the editor, like when we say like James Altucher made 8,000% in cryptocurrencies, like that really is true. He really did do that by getting involved in a pre-ICO and then making that money. It's a true story. You want to prove that every promise will be fulfilled, every forecast or prediction is inevitable, that the mechanism works perfectly every time, that everything has been checked and thoroughly backed up by scientific studies, rigorous world testing, or personal success stories. So our legal department's gonna, we'll get to this, is gonna head you on that. They don't want you to say it's gonna happen every time in a claim. Could happen. Possibility, things like that, right? But you want the proof to say, like, whatever the legal hedging language in there, that they see like 50 charts that are going up, like it's fucking gonna happen, right? I mean, it's no way it's not. That's how you want them to feel. You want to prove that anyone, including the prospect, especially the prospect, can actually use whatever your secret is to get their desires. That's social proof again, but also if you can prove it's easy to use and things like that.
So let's talk about that one for a second, because I'm going to repeat it. You want to prove that anyone, including the prospect, can use this secret to get their desires. You're going to normally find this in copy around not statements, NOT statements, meaning that you do not need a lot of money to get started with this. You do not need an advanced degree in economics to get started with this. You do not need a lot of time to use this. Obviously, best if you could back those up, because they're all pieces, they're all claims, right? So best if you could back that up by showing that someone who never graduated from high school is making money from this. To show them that someone who's working 80 hours a week can still make money from this. So you'll normally find that type of claim and that type of proof surrounded by not statements. So when you see that, circle that in copy, and that's what the copywriter is trying to do with those statements.
Another thing you want to prove is whatever they're hearing, seeing, experiencing is completely logical, honest, and true. Completely honest. Completely logical, honest, and true. And if they showed the same evidence to somebody else, they'd feel the same. Again, these are feelings. These are not things I can prove to you using logic or mathematics. It's one of those things to look at and like that seems like that's honestly true. So when you're talking about like an average paid person making billions of dollars and you're using that as your proof that like anybody can do this, well, I don't know, that doesn't really feel true to me, even if it is a true story, because like you're kind of making the claim that I'm going to make $1 billion, and that's I don't believe that. $1 million, yeah, sure, but $1 billion. So and then at the same time, you want to make sure that because a lot of people are thinking like, what would someone else think of me? We're very social creatures. They think in terms of status. That if they're thinking, well, if someone else is reading this, will this still be something that someone else would believe? These are hard things you can't really like. I'm just trying to give you like a sense of what good proof is. The last thing you want to prove is that the timing of the message is perfect, and they have to act